Domestic violence is a big issue everywhere, including here in the Low Country. And that's why Butch Kennedy is organizing the 3rd annual Hope Walk on the Ravenel Bridge in September. I speak exclusively with Butch for a special edition of Quintin's Close-Ups. And be sure to download the free Quintin's Close-Ups app in your Apple or Google Play stores. Butch Kennedy.
Well.
It's so I know.
Finally, in the chair that everybody's been here, all the family has been here,
Yeah.
man. You're doing a great job, my brother. I appreciate you, man.
Thank you greatly. It's all public service from God.
Yes, it is. It's God-driven, man. You can tell, man.
Absolutely.
Bless you, brother. Keep
Oh,
on. Keep
thank
on.
you. And now I have you here.
I don't know where that puts you now, but but I am
One
here.
thousand something.
I am here, yes.
And we have such an important topic to talk about, that is
Right.
domestic violence.
Yeah, domestic violence. I've been dealing with domestic violence for the past 10 years, and I kind of say that I'm very unfortunate to have a lot of my friends being victims of domestic violence. So I actually, a lot of people that I communicate with, their children have paid the ultimate price. I call it the ultimate price for love, meaning that they lost their children due to domestic violence. So children were usually murdered by their intimate partner. So.
What is, I hate to use it in this sense, but what is the state of domestic violence when it comes to awareness?
Well, awareness, we're getting there. We're getting there. South Carolina has ranked in the top 10 for the past 20 years. A lot of people don't realize, but in South Carolina, for the past 20 years, an average 35 women, not an average, but 35 women per year have been killed by their intimate partner in South Carolina for the past 20 years. So getting the word out is easy. So everybody's beginning to be receptive to the word because it's always been silent. Nobody ever talks about violence in the home. So that's private, that belongs in the home. So we're finally getting the word out and people are finally listening.
And you talk about getting the word out. Let me talk to you about your event. The 3rd annual Hope Walk against domestic violence is going to happen on September 15th on the Ravenel Bridge.
Exactly.
Why the Ravenel Bridge? Why now?
Well, here's the thing about the Hope Walk. There's a reason why we did the Hope Walk, and the reason why we did the Hope Walk is because South Carolina, just like I said, ranks in the top 10 for domestic violence for the past 20 years. So the issue that we have in the state of South Carolina, in the Tri-County areas, we only have one domestic violence shelter, and that's it. I mean, if you look through the state of South Carolina, there's over 200 animal shelters, but there's only 18 domestic violence shelters. Horry County, the biggest county in the state, does not have a domestic violence shelter.
Why the politics?
That's a good question. That's a good question. I mean, you would think that the senators and the legislators would get it, and we do have some senators that do get it. I mean, Senator Quintin has been very vocal about his opposition to domestic violence. He's worked with us on many things. We've had Representative Gilliard, who's co-sponsoring this as well. Right. He's fought this fight, and this fight is because it's a personal fight. It's the most pervasive type of crime that you can actually commit. So it's very hard to fight because it's family, and you know what I mean. So nobody wants to talk about what's going on in the home, and in the homes, man, that's where all of the violence is going. So domestic violence is just a hidden thing. Nobody really wants to talk about it. So
when you go into the homes and you talk to your friends and family members, what are they saying about domestic violence in 2018?
It's funny that you ask that because a lot of them aren't saying anything about it. A lot of them know what it is that I do, and a lot of men, because I go out and have the conversation with men about domestic violence, about reducing crime against women in general. That's my platform. My platform is to make sure that women are safe and to reduce violence against women. So, I can have that conversation with men because I'm a man.
Right.
And I truly believe that in order to reduce violence against women, men have to step up. So men are the key to that answer. So I have that conversation with young kids a lot. And it's all about relationships. That's the difference between this year's Hope Walk and the other Hope Walks. This year we're going to bring men out. And men are going to talk about their relationships, their healthy relationships. We're going out in response to the Me Too movement. The Me Too movement, we're not just talking about domestic violence, but we're also talking about sexual violence as well. So we're really excited about bringing men to the table to actually talk about what we're willing to do as men to reduce violence against women.
You talk about men, you talk about domestic violence against women. There are a lot of men out there that have issues with domestic violence as far as them being the victims as well.
Exactly. A lot of people don't want to say this, and a lot of people will never say this. We're one of the only organizations to talk about this.
Okay.
But men are victims of domestic violence as well. There is something that's going on in the house, and I like to attribute it to the fact that, single parenting, and usually, if a single parent mother has a daughter who's the older,
Right.
then she gets to discipline her kids, and sometimes she gets to discipline the little boys as well. So she tends to take on more of a dominant role in the household. And young men now are being abused as well, because, young men are raised never to hit a woman. A lot of men, and that's the funny part, I tell everybody this, that 80% of men will never hit a woman, but there's 20% of men that will. The problem that we have is that the 20% of men that do it, and 80% of men that do nothing about it. So we should be able to stop that. And basically what I do is I try to hold men accountable to the solution to end it. Whether we're a victim, whether we're a perpetrator, we can always walk away. And that's what we try to teach men. And we try to teach women the same thing as well. So we don't just have that one-sided conversation.
Okay.
So we have the conversation with men and with women. That's the difference.
And obviously when people are done at the end of the walk and they get to the end of the Ravenel Bridge, what do you want them to say about the 3rd annual Hope Walk against domestic violence?
Here's the big thing about the Hope Walk. Every step that you take across that bridge, if you're a victim, that's a step you're taking towards your victimization. So a lot of women who have taken that walked that 5K walk across the bridge, have said that they felt when they were done with the walk, they felt like they actually had felt a heck of a lot better about their situation. They felt like they were now survivors instead of victims. And that's what we want. We want to give women that positive, or victims in general, that positive. So we got a male victim speaking out of the Hope Walk. We got a young gentleman that's speaking out of the Hope Walk who actually got stabbed multiple times, saving a woman from domestic violence.
Wow.
So this is going to be a little different take. This is specifically for the ladies, because the men are going to come out and they're going to pay tribute to their woman, and the men are going to come out and talk about, what we as men can do to reduce violence against women. So we're excited about it.
And obviously you're a household name in the community, having served in this community for many years. But when you take off your community hat, who's Butch Kennedy?
Butch Kennedy, man, that's a good question, because I rarely ever take off my community hat. I'm actually an engineer.
Wow.
I work for the government. So a lot of people don't know that. They think that I run 2 nonprofits and I work for the government. So the thing about it is originally I did the design for the communication systems for the Navy.
Okay.
So now I'm doing it for the Marines. So
Right.
I've always been an engineer first. And in my
Right.
regular time, in my spare time, as I call it, I get to work with victims, and I get to work with young men and children. We do the Camp Hope thing in the summer with the kids. And we talk to the kids, because we have to start with the kids and talk to them about ending violence against one another, man. And these kids, man, they get it. A lot of these kids are smart. A lot of these kids understand. So Butch Kennedy is actually a person who loves to relax, man. A lot of people see me, and they see me in pictures, and I'm never smiling in pictures, and people ask me, they say, why don't you ever smile? Why don't you ever smile? Because, I deal with so much victimization, and not only domestic violence, but we deal with gun violence as well. And a lot of people that we deal with have lost loved ones. And when you hear the stories and you get used to it, sometimes it tends to wear you down. And sometimes you have a hard time dealing with all the stories. So when you see me in pictures, I'm usually game on. I'm about one thing, and that's victimization and ending victimization. Whether it's you're shot by gun violence, whether you're shot by domestic violence, whatever it is, my key is ending the violence. So I'm always game on, man. And game on, I mean, I can't be smiling up and shinny grinning in everybody's face.
Right.
And I got a mother over here who just lost her kid,
Right.
and she's looking at me like, well, you look like you're having a good time. I'm like, my kid? No, man, I don't forget about the kids. I don't forget about none of these mothers that I work with on a daily basis that have lost their loved ones. We're out for a cure. And that's the hard part. The biggest thing that I really, really enjoy is the fact that when I see others post on their Facebook pages about doing things, about ending violence against women, about domestic violence. If you see Papa Smurf,
Right.
if you see him posting something about domestic violence, you know you've touched someone.
Right.
Pastor Dixon,
Right.
you see them posting stuff like that. I mean, Shakim, all these guys there, once you see them posting stuff about, ending violence against women, that means that the message is getting there. So that's the most important thing to me, is that, if Butch Kennedy were to go away today, then he's left a message, a legacy for others to follow. And that's the most important thing.
I gotta take you to some place that you know very well and you beloved a lot, and that's North Charleston.
Yes, sir.
Over the past couple of weeks, we've seen a lot of battles there.
Yes, sir.
Where are you emotional with that?
Emotionally with that, I'm torn apart. I'm torn apart with that because there's so many mothers, so many families that are torn apart by gun violence. All this is gun violence. And I'm a gun owner. I'm a veteran and I'm a gun owner.
Okay.
And I totally believe that, that these guns are not just mysteriously appearing here. I mean, in West Asheville alone, they found 52 guns in unlocked cars. They were stolen out of unlocked cars. That's irresponsible, man. No gun owner wants that. NRA doesn't want that. So what we push for and what I push for in a group called Arm and Arm is universal background checks, right? We want people, who get caught with stolen weapons, we want that penalty to be increased. So our goal is to if you get caught with a stolen weapon one time or 50 times now, it's just a fine and you go home. What we want is a tiered penalty system that makes a person accountable for stealing guns in this community. So our main, like I said, our main target, our main focus, and our main goal is to make the community safer. And the thing that's really important is to galvanize the community. They did that last night. I mean, when you see a community of people coming together in Wayland,
Right.
and there's like 40 or 50 people strong in Wayland, okay, when we bring the other communities together and there's 40 or 50 strong, then we're starting to talk about something. When we bring all these communities together, we can't keep being splinters for one another. We gotta all come together, man. And when we come together, it's a powerful voice. Because you're not talking about 50 people. You're talking about 50 people here, 50 people there, 50 people there. Then we're starting to make some noise. And that's what we want to do. We want to make some noise. We want the people, the young people, to know that we're tired of being victimized in our own community. I mean, we have a young lady that was shot, and 500 people were around her when she was shot, and no one saw nothing. So we want people to speak out, man. And that's what we talk to our kids about, speaking out.
Butch Kennedy, thank you so much for your time. I really, really appreciate this.
Not a problem, man. I love hanging out with you, man.
Oh, thank you greatly.
Take care, buddy.
Yes, sir.
Good to see you.